Respiratory therapy, pharmacy to the ER, room 55. Respiratory therapy, pharmacy to the ER, room
This is the
55.
trauma bay. I thought we were going to
Respiratory
your
therapy,
office.
pharmacy to the ER, room 55.
Code blue,
Trauma alert.
ICU.
Category 1.
Code blue,
Trauma Y.
ICU.
ETA. Staff.
Code blue, ICU.
They just pulled up. He's full arrest.
Is he intubated?
No, not yet. Somebody grab the crack chest tray. And welcome to Trauma Y and Crash. On this episode, we have a guest, Latonya Beal, one of our nurse practitioners. It's Nurse Practitioner Week, and we want to say thank you. I'm Wyman, and Crash couldn't be here today, but he wanted to make sure I told you happy Nurse Practitioner Week, and we appreciate you. How you doing today?
Little, but it came back. I'm here.
Okay. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
I am doing great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, well, again, my name is Latonya Beal. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I've been in healthcare for over 20 years. I started my career as a CNA, and I went through many transitions. I was a CNA, and then I was a unit secretary, a medical transcriptionist, and finally became a registered nurse. I worked as a registered nurse for 7 years, and then I obtained my nurse practitioner master's degree back in 2017. So now I've been a nurse practitioner for 3 years, but it's been a long journey, but a very worthy journey for sure.
Wow, it sounds like it, with many steps in the way, which I'm sure probably really helped you, and especially in your last two roles as an RN and as a nurse practitioner.
Yes, for sure. I always say that even along all those different positions, I could pull from each skill set, and it helps me even today as a nurse practitioner on every level.
Good. They It sounds like, now, did you do most of these things all in the same place?
Well, for my so I started out as a CNA. I worked there for 10 years, and I had those promotions there at that one facility. And then I ended up transitioning to another healthcare facility in Med-Surg. That was my first nursing job in Med-Surg. And then from Med-Surg, I transitioned to dialysis. And from dialysis, now I'm a nephrology nurse practitioner. So it was a good segue into the profession for sure.
Oh, I bet. A lot of people, I don't want to say look down on, but they were like, that's not where I want to go. But I come from an era where you had to know your stuff. You couldn't just like go straight to the ER or go to the units. You had to have a lot of training. And Med-Surg, a good Med-Surg floor is where a lot of your best critical care nurses come from.
Yes, sir.
You're overwhelmed, and you have to be able to organize and prioritize.
Absolutely. I said, if you could make it a Med-Surg, you can make it anywhere. Yeah.
And even in the ER, some of our best nurses have that mixture where they've worked some on the floors too, because it's hard if you've only worked critical care and then you come to the ER, you've only had 2 patients, and you're not happy at 3 because you got tripled. And you get in the ER and it's chaos. And there's only certain nurses that can work like true critical care, ICU, CCU, and ED. I say a third of the people who work in those areas can work both comfortably.
I agree.
Yeah. So, what would you say to the new nurse practitioners out there who are just coming out? Because now, it used to be it wasn't a whole lot, and we've kind of had a wave, and even more so, we got a lot coming out.
Yes. So what I first will tell a new NP is congratulations, you made it through all those long papers, those practicums, you made it. So congrats. Also, I would tell them to be confident in your role. Even though you're a new NP, you're not new to healthcare, you're not new to the nursing practice, you're just new to this role. And as nurses, we can adapt to anything. and you could totally adapt to this leadership role for sure. Also, know your worth. That's in self-worth and compensation. I had to learn that as a new MP. My first salary, I kind of lowballed myself, but through, you learn by your mistakes. So I learned, hey, I got to know my worth. This is my salary. It's no longer that we look at a contract and we say, yay, thank you for this job. No, you're a business now. So you negotiate those salaries. You're totally worth it, whether you're brand new. You come with the knowledge and you come with the skill set. So you're totally worth it. Also, stay open to learning from everyone. Even though we're on a different level, you're a nurse practitioner, you can still learn from everyone. From people that you manage, you can still learn from them. So always stay humble, never get too full of yourself and say, hey, I'm this nurse practitioner. I don't have to listen to anyone. No, this is when you have to stay very, very open and pay attention to everyone on your team.
I would say that because if the docs can do that, and some of the docs, I mean, I've worked with docs, and this is a era long ago, but they would come in the morning, and I'd be like, hey, I wrote orders for you for patients, blah, 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 blah. You need to go sign them all. Or, hey, you wrote this wrong, or what's up with this? Or they come to you and ask. If they are working as a team, I think it's a must. And sometimes I feel like some of the nurse practitioners, just like the residents and the docs, feel like if I don't kick out all the information and lay out all the skill work myself, I'm not doing a good job, and people will think less of me. And it's kind of the opposite.
The total opposite. You'll gain so much more respect from your team. Those are the people who see your patients more than you do sometimes, especially in my setting of nephrology. I see dialysis patients. So I'm not there every day with those patients like the nursing team there and the technicians there. So when they tell me, hey, I've been caring for this patient, I notice X, Y, and Z, I say, well, tell me more. I want to hear more of your thoughts. And we come together and make a collective, plan for the patient's treatment along with the patient as well. So you definitely have to respect your team, no matter the capacity. So totally stay open to learning.
And that is so important because, sometimes it's your techs and your nursing assistants that spend the most time with them. And you know what? I don't care if you don't know the term.
Mm-hmm.
All I care about is, something's not right.
Yes. Oh, and that's another thing I'll say, follow your gut. Even if it's something that you remember from when you were a new nurse and a case that you might have seen, go with that gut, follow your knowledge and trace, back it up with the research and the new knowledge that you have. And trust me, it'll never lead you wrong.
I totally agree because people who, especially if you're strong in your assessment skills or you really pay attention to what you're doing, your body, your brain will acquire knowledge and will come to a feeling before you have processed it. And you might not know why you felt that way, but your brain does. Your brain is telling you, you need to take care of this because it's about to go bad and you just haven't caught up.
Exactly. That's so true. And you'll be surprised some stuff. You're like, oh my God, how do I remember that from all these years? All that knowledge is still there. You still have all that to pull from for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things we definitely have to make sure we ask everybody we talk to this year is how has COVID affected your practice?
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie, when everything first happened, I was working in a hospital setting, actually in my RN role, and it threw us for a loop. I mean, this was all new for everyone. Of course, in dialysis, we always wore PPE and things like that. But when it comes to your PPE being limited and, your teammates are getting sick around you, it really tests your morals and your ethics. And one thing I could say about nurses, we're resilient. And a lot of times we put ourselves before our patients. So we just made sure we did what we needed to do, and we still care for those patients. Now, in the MP capacity, like on the back end of our first wave of COVID in August, I got the offer for my MP job that I have now. which required me to go out into the community and things like that, which was a little scary at first because I live in South Florida. Our numbers around that time, we were at our peak. So, I was a little, intimidated by that, but thank God I got introduced to telehealth and I could do televisits. So that was a new skill set. So we could take the good with the chaos, So I learned a new skill set of televisits. The patients adapted to it. And of course, just being more careful as I navigate throughout the community with PPE. I have a face shield when I go see patients. I have on a mask, my face shield. So you totally still have to gear up and be safe, but we still got to get out there and take care of our patients for sure.
Yeah. And, fortunate, but unfortunately, our biggest breakthroughs in healthcare come with badness. When it comes to trauma, where do we get most of our stuff? We get it from the military because of wars. We learn the most during wartime, and it's kind of like the same thing. People were pushing and were thinking about it. Nobody was like, nah, we're not going to pay for no computer over the internet. No. And then this hit, and then they're like, yes.
Yes.
That's all it is. They had to change up their, like, oh yeah, I don't want to go, but it's opened up a lot. And that's good because, there's a lot of people out there in our field that do home visits, and we got to be able to be safe, because the other thing, because even now the numbers are up everywhere.
Yes.
And I'm hearing in some places it's beds, but in other places it's staff. I keep up with the COVIDs. One of our big hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, has 300 healthcare workers down.
Wow.
COVID right now, and that's just the ones in the city. So, controlling your infrastructure, if you don't have the crew.
Exactly. I kind of ran into that as well. Like our unit is a specialty unit. So you can't pull from ICU to come down and work in dialysis. You can't pull from med surg to come work in dialysis. So that very small group of people, if we all started to get sick, we're short staffed. We don't have any help. So it got tight at one point. It really did.
And it's not one of the things you want to talk about essential. Dialysis.
We've been essential.
I used to tell my patients when I was in the ER, because it's dialysis or death. You go or you die. It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yes. Totally. That's the raw version, but I bet they tightened up and they did what they needed to do.
Oh, I used to. If you came in the ER because you missed dialysis, I talked to you the first time, and then I got to know you. And then after that, if you was anywhere in the department, I end up popping up, and I'll be like, "Why you missed?" The only time you miss dialysis because you're dead or you're in the ER. That's it. Everything else has to wait.
It does. It really does. We need you down here. We need you down here to talk to some of our patients.
I bet you some of mine probably went down there trying to get away.
And I hope I run up on them. I'm gonna say, "Hey, I know why I'm in. I'm gonna give them a call."
I'm down here now.
Now I'm gonna call you in for backup.
Hey, they used to tell people, patients would come in, "Why I'm in here?" It'd be day shift. They'd be like, "Yeah, you here? I'll come back."
Oh gosh.
And it's not because I enjoy giving people a hard time, but I fight harder than you do to take care of you.
Exactly.
No matter who you are. There's this one guy, and I'm sure if he told you, to tell you I can't stand him, but I fought for him. He come in short of breath, and then as soon as we fix him a little bit, he want to go smoke. No, you're not going to smoke. And one time he signed out because it was me and one of my buddies. I was precepting. Was his nurses, and he's like, "I'm not doing this." He goes, "I'm gonna sign out and I'm gonna sign back in at the end of your shift." He sat outside and signed back in when we left, and waved to me as I was leaving.
You gotta love them. Oh, you gotta love our patients. There's something else.
I'll be on them, but they also know ain't nobody gonna fight harder when you come. If you in trouble, I'm gonna bust my butt to help take care of you.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Some people would get mad. You get to say anything to your patient. No, I talk to my patients real because they know I care. I'm not
Exactly.
listening at them because I think they wasted my time or I don't want to be bothered. I'm talking to them because I'm like, I'll ask them, are you suicidal? Is that what you're trying to do? Because you got to help me. Because if the only thing going to keep you alive is dialysis and you keep missing dialysis, I think you kind of really being suicidal. So you need to tell me something because why else would you miss?
Hey, that changed that perspective quick.
Yep, they'll look at you like, ooh.
Yeah, you got to give it to them raw sometimes. I always tell them, listen, I'm not telling you nothing I wouldn't tell my mother, my father, my daughter, my brother, my cousin, my good friends. I'm talking to you as somebody who I care about. So,
And then I also tell you know what, to be honest, I'm being nicer to you because if you was my relative, I really be going off.
yes, no holding back there for sure.
No. Sometimes that's why with family, you can use your family for that. I had a cut my cousin, his name's Phil. We used to work together at McDonald's when I was in high school, and I was like a junior manager, whatever. And he used to act up all the time, but it was great because he's my family.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't doing what they supposed to do. I punch him. And everybody be like, "Oh man, if he hit his family, what he gonna do to us?" And then they do their job, but no, not knowing I'm not gonna touch y'all. But he family.
You got to set the tone.
Man, why you? I was like, you just make it easy for me. I appreciate you helping me do my job.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah. But what would you tell your fellow MPs, especially this week, but in general, what message would you have for them?
This week, for sure, I'll tell all of them happy MP week. I'm so proud of all of us for shining and changing lives day to day. I'll totally tell them to be safe and let's continue to grow and continue to make an impact on healthcare. A lot of states now have passed into law that we have full practice autonomy. And I could also happily say that that's also been passed here in Florida. I'm super, super shocked, but they passed it. So that gives us the opportunity after certain hours of training to open up a primary care practice without having the supervision of a physician. So congrats to all the states that have, put that in place.
Yeah, and that's really good. And the other bottom line that comes with that is need to help. You need to help because they can't keep up.
Exactly, especially this year. A lot of baby boomers retired, so that included physicians. So that left a huge gap in space and opportunity for nurse practitioners to step in. And we could totally fill that space and keep that space for our communities and for our patients with primary care and things like that for sure. So I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and it's really grown. I've watched it. I had thought about it a long time ago, but at the time, I didn't like the avenues that were there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just watched it grow, and I love it, and I appreciate how because I felt like the MPs that I knew, their talents weren't utilized.
Exactly. That's another thing. We were very underutilized and still in certain instances, because the profession was new and growing, a lot of physicians didn't know what to do with us or what to do with our skill set. But now we've grown to over 290,000. So we're
Yeah,
out there.
because I used to watch what few, we didn't have hardly any, but we had a few MPs in the ER and they did pelvics and sutures. And I not what I wanted to do.
You would love it now, Wyman.
Hmm?
If you were acute care MP, oh, you'll be killing it.
Yeah. But I wanted to stay dirty and I loved the sick. And one of the things I saw in the ER is they pushed the MPs away from the sick.
Nah, not now. Not now. Do some
Wrong
research.
neck of the woods still. However, now if you become like a trauma MP or a neuro MP or up on the floor or in critical care, you get it all. And it is fantastic. And it is great to see all the stuff they could do. And if I saw that in the future and saw that that would truly happen, it might have changed my course.
For sure, for sure. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. Love it, love it.
That is really great. That is great. So now, one of the other things I wanted to ask you is, what would you tell the new nurses? Because especially you have your own IG with your own company, you
Thank
know,
you.
so you are truly a leader out there in the community, and people look to you. So what would you tell our new nurses out there?
I would definitely tell the new nurses out there in every capacity, even LPNs. I like hone in on LPNs because they get that, oh, I'm just an LPN. A young lady told me that before and I almost lost my mind. She's like, oh, I'm a nurse, but I'm only an LPN. I was like, look, no, take
Right,
that.
right. You got a license, and usually where you work, you're it.
That's it. That's so true. And I told her, I said, listen, I've learned from some of the best LPNs ever. Some of the best LPNs that I work with on my side, and together I could not do my job. I couldn't be here without those same LPNs. So no, you're not just an LPN. You are a nurse for
Uh,
sure. So
I
I
have
would
worked with some fantastic LPNs that been some of the great. My mom was an LPN, and even though we worked in different cities, there were a couple nurses who came up and worked in our critical care, and I worked in a very high acuity, fast paced hospital. And some of their couple of the nurses that were really good, my mom helped train them, and they came and they would tell me, I learned the most from your mother.
Yes. Dude, I always tell LPNs, never sleep on being an LPN ever. And then when you transition into going into RN, if you want to, you could stay at LPN if you want to. Don't let nobody push you to do anything higher than that. Oh, why are you still LPN? Because this is what I want to do. You could grow in the LPN and become an ADON and things like that too. And, in the long-term care facilities. So there's still growth there.
Right.
So I'll tell them be comfortable where you are. And if you choose to move forward at your own pace. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Do everything at your own pace. So I'll just tell them continue to be confident, continue to embrace every level that you're on, and it'll get you where you want to go every time for sure.
Now, do new grads get to spend any time with you or with your?
Not in my capacity because I in nephrology, because I go to so many different dialysis centers. I can't like precepts. But in the facility, there's a lot of new nurses there in the facility, and I always take to them. Like you'll see them nervous and things like that, or they'll call me and they're like, "I'm so sorry to bother you." Like they're so like reluctant to step to you or to call you based on your title. And I always say, "Okay, wait. Let's start the call over. How you doing? Everything's okay. You can call me for anything. I'm never upset for a call. Let me know what you're feeling or what you're thinking," because they're reluctant to say, "Oh, well, I think this patient, this is going on with them, and maybe we should do this." And I always encourage them to use their voice. Use your voice. Speak up. You have the knowledge. You're working with people at different levels, but you deserve to be there too. You have the schooling, you have the education. Speak up. Use your voice. Be confident.
Yes.
Because
Oh, but I also tell them because I will. I'll be like, you can't go. Oh, can you come see so and so? Why? Because they sick. You got to give me more. Don't
yeah,
don't identify there might be a problem and then don't. Well, I didn't really assess. Or I didn't check this. I didn't check. No, check your stuff. No, know your. So that when you make that communication, because I value. I feel like every time you talk to a practitioner, uh, you are investing or withdrawing on a relationship.
that's so true. I like that.
You know,
That's so true.
you have an interaction where Tanya, this might sound dumb, but I'm concerned about this, and I saw this, and this, and you know what? Maybe you're wrong. So what? Because me having that conversation with you gives you an opportunity to help me understand it better, and I might
Mhm.
have got half of it right.
Exactly.
But then,
Or you use your voice and your knowledge, and now that physician or a nurse practitioner is like, "Oh, I like nurse such and such. I trust them. I feel good when they're on shift and they're here with my patients. I know that they're going to keep that eye out for me when I'm somewhere else and I can't be there."
right, or I disagreed. I don't know where your order came from, so I don't understand why you did it. Can you help me understand what's going on? That's not challenging the order. That's I'm trying to make sure I'm on the same page. Teach me so that I can understand something.
And you're advocating for your patients, because how many times have we advocated for a patient and the doctor's like, oh, you know what, you're right, I have to change this order, and thank you for that catch or something like that. So your voice
Absolutely,
is
because
so
you might be right, you might be wrong, and you might learn something. Those are the things that happen. Now, how you do it is important. You can't come at nobody wrong and be looking at them side eye like, why you write this order for such and such, such and such. You ask them, hey, you know what? I don't understand. Can you help me understand this?
Listen, that's a whole nother episode too. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
ooh.
yes. I used to teach at a LPN school, and we used to. The school was really good, and they let me develop my own class. I had a critical care class for LPNs, and they used to be like, "Why I gotta take this? I'm not gonna do. You are doing critical care. If you in the nursing home over there by yourself, and it's you and the maintenance guy, and the
Yes,
maintenance guy looking at you like, I think they need a nurse, and you like, where is it? And it's you. You can't.
yes.
You got to know what to do.
And you gotta wait for 911 to get there. You gotta wait for
That's a time period. You can't. Well, I just waited for y'all to get here.
mm-hmm.
Don't help. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. So I used to drill them a lot, and because it is true. You the nurse.
That's it. Your license on the line for
Yep.
sure.
And you don't ever want to be sitting in front of that board going, "What'd you do? Nothing."
Mm-hmm. They're like, what? Nothing. Well, per your license and everything, boom, 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 boom. You're supposed to do this. So for sure.
Oh yeah, but I feel like it is a new avenue that has really opened up for even the newer nurses to be able to help learn more, because they have the nurse practitioners, because some of them don't feel comfortable having the same conversation with
Yeah.
the docs that they will the nurse practitioners. And
So
sometimes that's good and bad, because I think sometimes the nurse practitioners might get challenged more as well.
you know what? It keeps us on our toes though.
Yeah. But I advocated for, I feel like as new nurses, if you work on the med surge floor in an area that sends patients to dialysis, part of your orientation, you should go to the dialysis unit and how inpatient to help see what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
help do your understanding. I don't feel like we are our compartments don't link. I'm a big component of, if you're an ER nurse, if you're not a medic and you haven't had experience in the field, you should have to do ride time in the ambulances so you understand why you get what you get. If you work in a unit, you should come down to the ED so you understand why you do what you do, because all of them look so different, and the thought processes are different.
It's true.
Some
It's so
people are like, well, why'd you do that? Or they always do this. Yeah, because our thought process is this, you know,
That's true. That's true.
and I feel like you learn a lot. We used to, the lab, everybody hates the lab. Lab- I mean, because the lab is one of those places where everybody's set up to fail. Because when lab calls you, what do? You make a face. You're like, oh, geez, what do they want? Because it's never good.
No.
It's never good. They never call with good news. Platelets went up, but it's the same with us. They don't want to hear from us because we're calling, where's my result?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an adversary relationship. But if you go down there, because they're like, everything's clotted. I love when I hear people say, how could they lose that? They lost that. They ain't nothing wrong with that blood. They lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time, the blood goes in one room, it don't move. So it really can't get lost, you know. And you don't know what's the difference between like what's hemolyzed and what's clotted,
Exactly.
and all those different relationships. But I feel like, with the MPs, that's an opportunity that they have, that you can learn a lot
For sure.
in I don't want to say more comfortable. Well, for me, it wouldn't be more comfortable because I'm comfortable asking anybody anything. I don't really care. But for new nurses, sometimes they're less intimidating, and they don't. I don't feel like I don't feel like anybody really uses y'all as much as we could be. But I think I see that as a big gap, especially with some of the struggles our new grads are having.
Exactly. Communication for sure. I remember being a new grad and being scared to call that doctor that everybody warned you about. But you know what I learned though? I said, well, okay, when I call Dr. Such and Such, I better have all my information together because he's going to ask me X, Y, and Z. And that's when he pulls from your knowledge. Like, what is he going to ask me about this high potassium? You know, so let me have all my ducks in a row. So when he asks me, I could just fire off. Yep. Boom, 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 boom. Then that doctor starts to trust you too, because he knows when he gets that call from nurse such and such, she's ready or he's ready. They have their information together.
That's exactly the reason why they challenge you, because why do you feel the way you feel? Well, because of X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay. That tells me why. I feel good about that. But if you go, I don't know.
Oh, Lord. Don't do that.
Call up somebody, you know what? They're wet. I think they're in CHF or they're retaining fluid. Well, how's their eye and nose been? I don't know. How's their weight? I don't know. What you call me for?
Exactly. Or they're not even going to ask. They're going to hang up.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to know quite a few. They would hang up on you or just start cussing you out. And then you wonder why. I'd be like, well, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Although some of them it was harassment because, you know, part of this is at the same time, you got to watch how you talk to people.
Exactly.
That used to get me heated because I would see some folks that would go off and be rude. Like, dude, what? You ain't have to do that. I was like, because let's be real. If we was out in a grocery store, you wouldn't be talking to my wife like that.
Exactly.
You know, would you want somebody talking to your wife like that or your mother?
Change that perspective.
You know, but I love how it has grown and how much we're using it. I really do. It has really, I feel like made a big difference in our healthcare, especially when there's so many areas that are lacking. So you can help with the load.
Absolutely. Oh, can I say something to you, Wyman? I want to say thank you so much for even considering me for this episode. I love what you and your partner Crash are doing. I'm going to be here for the ride to see you guys take off and grow. I also want to highlight that I have on your MP Trauma Y hoodie. I love it. It's one of my favorite colors. So y'all make sure y'all check those out for sure. Also, Wyman, thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for protecting us and doing all that you have done, all that you're still doing, even now with the community, with your mentorship and guidance and everything like that. I love your platform and what you're doing for sure.
Thank you very much. We are definitely out here trying to make a difference. And yes, that is one. Pull that hoodie up one more time. Let's show them that is one of our hero hoodies. We have them in nursing. We have them for respiratory therapy. We have them for multiple disciplines, in all kinds of different colors. So you go to our website at McCareCaresConsulting.com. There's all kinds of apparel there, but there's also lots of first aid kits, and we have educational classes. Actually, in a couple of weeks, I'm having a student education safety class for COVID and just general situation awareness, what to do if someone's following you, what is your little disaster plan, how to help students that are either going off to college or in college or even high school.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
We do a lot. We're going to get y'all together down there because y'all had too many disasters landing down there and you ain't prepared. We got to get you squared away.
Flood areas now just flooded from this tropical storm that just dumped on us. So yeah, we definitely need you down here to give us some training for sure. Oh, let me give one more shout out to the beautiful young lady that owns Honeybee Natural. I'm rocking her lip gloss, her natural color, and I love it because I don't like to wear like a lot of heavy makeup, but this is like a nice compliment. So I love what she's doing for sure.
Well, I will make sure she hears that message. And for anyone, for everybody, so you know, Honeybee Natural is a all-natural product, hair products, and lip gloss that are made by my daughter. She has her own company that is doing very well. She is a baller. She is out there making her way, and I love it. And the
She
product's
is.
great. She's using that college degree.
Hey.
Spent plenty of time in that lab helping to figure out how to develop these products.
Yeah. She's doing an awesome job. I love when young people are starting their own businesses and they're flourishing and they're seeing that what they believed or what they envisioned can actually come into fruition. So I really love how her business is growing for sure, and I definitely continue to support.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I think we're coming up to a close. Anything else you want to close out with?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. I had fun. I hope I could come back on with another episode, with another conversation. I'm always here for you, Wyman. I appreciate you for being the wonderful human that you are. And I don't believe that people cross paths in vain. And I really feel your vibes all the way from South Florida to Ohio. And I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that. It has been a good collab. And one of the things about doing things like this is I've gotten to meet really, really good people, great people. And we are going to do more because I am going to be working on doing panels. So get you included in a group panel so we can talk more about some of this stuff and dig a little deeper.
Hey, I'm ready. One more time. Happy Nurse Practitioners Week.
All right. Y'all have a good week. Everybody take it easy. Respiratory therapy, pharmacy to the ER, room 55. Respiratory therapy, pharmacy.